Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to tonight's episode of Plain Talk. And as would normally happen right now, you would see my guests with me. My guests are on standby. We're going to be dealing with this issue of feeding the nation. And I'm asking all of you who are watching the video right now live, if you could share it on your pages as well so others could know that we're here. Today I raised an issue that came out of the opposition claiming a victory against the government in that there is no law that the police cannot stop you and send you back home. And I asked, what was the point of this at this point? What we're trying to do? And some notably opposition members are telling me that this is about preventing police overreach and protecting our rights. Yeah, that's what this was about today. When Gary Griffin as Commissioner of Police stood up against the whole government, when not one of those lawyers could have found themselves or their voice, when this COVID-19 restrictions were put in place. If it wasn't for Gary Griffin, we locked down since the first day till now. Gary has made sure, and I'm saying this in defense of Gary, because we do stupidness. I want to ask a question. March 2015 in this country, the police shut the whole country down. You all remember? The day of total policing, remember that? The police shut the whole nation down. Where are these lawyers? Where were they? How they couldn't fight that and stop that? How you could rush to the court and stop that? What actions have you taken since to bring those responsible for what was effectively a coup? It shut the country down. You think that having the Attorney General admit that there is no law takes away the police rights? In New York City, they practice something called stop and frisk. Now, you have to decide again, because if what you all want is anarchy, let anarchy reign. If you agreed that this is the way to fight COVID-19, stop half-assing it. If you think that the time is up and we're ready to go outside in the street, then say so. But let's stop the political stunts and stop the political games. I am the last person to defend the People's National Movement. I am the last person to defend Keith Rowley. I am the absolute last person to defend Faris al-Rawi. We see what went on today? That weakened the nation. You know why? Because some jackasses now are going to force a conflict with the police when the police doing their job. What is the commissioner trying to do? The commissioner is trying to keep us following the rules that we've all agreed is the way to fight COVID-19. But the reason Trinidad is a rat hole and a cesspool is because we are not good at playing by the rules. So we want Trinidad to shut down, we want to stay home, and I watch the people who talk the most, and I could call your names because I know you. And you're talking about the little people in sea lots who jumping in the water, but you ain't talking about the 15 people home by you in fairways around the pool while you're barbecuing. That is not social distancing either. We can't continue to want to have it both ways and 5 ways and 10 ways. What was overreach? The state of emergency under the People's Partnership government. The same guy, the same lawyer who claiming a victory today against the AG, that was the Attorney General then. And he lost every case that was brought against the state for arrest during that illegal state of emergency. You want it fixed? Let's fix it properly. Let's get proper laws. But let's stop with the political stunting and get governance. That's what Trinidad and Tobago has been lacking. Anyway, tonight we're going to be talking how to feed this nation. The fools in government says that we can't. The opposition thinks we could. But the 2 occasions that party was in office, they did nothing. Let's talk to 2 farmers, to 2 people involved in farming and agriculture tonight. One of them is Dano Suku, and the other is Riyad Mohammed. Riyad?
Hi.
Riyad,
Good evening, Fernando. Correct, yes.
Sorry,
Hi,
I lost my notes. Dano Suku, you are the head of what organization? Dano,
I'm the president of the Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago.
Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes,
What is... Hmm?
President. Yeah.
Dano, your connection is very bad. Are you hearing me?
Move.
Are you
Yes, I'm
hearing me?
hearing you.
Dano, I can't see your mouth and I can't hear your words. So
I
it's a
am
double
hearing you
check.
loud.
Okay, but I'm not hearing you. You are
Are
coming
you
across
hearing
breaking.
me?
Now I'm hearing you. Explain to me what is the Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago?
The Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago. It's established by Parliamentary Act Chapter 63, advocate and represent the development of the agriculture sector in Trinidad and Tobago. Committee on Management of 26 that comes in annually into office by the
Dano, I want to
election
apologize.
process. Service Commission.
Dano, I need to interrupt you and I want to apologize. I cannot do an interview like this. You're
Let
breaking
me,
up.
Philip, let me go on my mobile. Let me go on my mobile, Philip.
All right, well, come out and come back in and talk to Riyadh in the meantime. Satish will guide you.
Let me
Riyadh,
Hey, good evening.
yeah, and I apologize to the audience. I mean, Trinidad have 9G, 10G, 12G, but the only G we don't have is G that could give us a good feed at night time when we're doing a live video. Yes, I don't know if Satish, head of Pet Media, is here. Nice, good. Riyadh, you are involved in animal husbandry and that type of farming, yes?
Correct, yes, livestock science.
I've been told that you're very knowledgeable.
That's a relative term.
The floor is yours, my friend. Do you think that Trinidad and Tobago has the ability to raise adequate livestock to contribute to food self-sufficiency and food independence in this country?
Yes, we have the potential. Currently, we are not self-sufficient with regards to livestock production. All right. I didn't hear you there, Philip. Just repeat, please.
No, I'm listening to you. I wasn't saying anything.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Yes. All right. So some of the issues that we are currently facing, and I will give recommendations for them as we go by. So livestock farmers, these are some of their complaints and situations that they face on a daily basis. With regards to genetic stock of farmers, we have been choosing the wrong breeds and species and types of animals to grow here for food. Reason being, we are bringing foreign animals or animals from the temperate country into the tropical environment and trying to grow them. Obviously, mix and matching. Yeah, so we need more neotropical animals to help grow our food here that is adaptable to the climate and susceptible to
Such
heat
as
and
iguana and maniku?
yeah, neotropical animals as well.
What type of
I'll
animal
come
is
to that
iguana,
later for sure.
iguana and maniku? Give me a type of animal that is neotropical.
Agouti, the agouti, the
Agouti is
Zeubropta
something
leporina. Agouti
that's
is?
actually that's something that we could farm. I was actually joking.
No, no,
To
we
the
have a herd of around 200 at the University Field Station, and we have over 100 heads at the Sugarcane Feed Center, and we have about 20 small farmers in Trinidad that produce the agouti for meat during the season commercially.
okay,
So
but
yes, neotropical.
we have a taste for poultry, beef, pork, sheep, mutton, goat.
Yes, we have
Are
a
those
cultural taste for non-indigenous species. I agree.
but
So
that's
what we
difficult
must try.
to grow?
Yes, it is very difficult to grow in the tropical regions. However, even if we must consume those types of meats, milks, or eggs, we need to get the breeds and species that are drought tolerant, heat tolerant, disease tolerant. You understand? So it's not that I'm saying we don't have to consume them, but we must be strategic in the management of the reproduction, nutrition and feeding, housing and environment, health and disease, and socioeconomic considerations with regards to those livestock species. Yeah. Another issue
Um,
that come up.
um, just hold 1 second. Let me explain to the people looking on who don't understand how difficult it is to have a show on the internet who think that we overspeak each other, who don't understand that there is a delay. Sometimes it's a short 10-second delay, sometimes it's even longer. So it looks like a difficulty. We are trying to work with timing for when the person look like they're pausing. Anybody who's watching the show right now who thinks they want to do a better job interviewing people, set up your show, send me the link and I'll broadcast it. If you don't like the show that you're watching, call us. Go back to your story, Rihanna. Listening to you, Dano, coming back to you just now.
Yes. So some of the other problems livestock farmers face is the 8 to 4 service of the extension service of the public servants. Now we have amazing public servants in the Ministry of Agriculture. However, their services are confined between the hours of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now livestock production or agriculture on the whole is a 24/7, 365, 66 days a year operation. For instance, when your goat or sheep comes into heat in the night and you need some AI services, artificial insemination service, who you going to call that time? How your animal going to get served? And there's a very small window of a few hours to get that animal served. And by the time you call in next morning, the offices have very limited amount of working vehicles to respond to these farmers. Hence, the farmer now missed that entire period or that gap of heat to get that AI service and now has to wait about a whole month again until the animals come back into heat, and that situation might repeat once again. Understand, Philip?
Yes, I do. But so you're saying that the opportunity to breed the animal may take place only in a window of time after business hours?
No, but there are many instances like that. You know, the animals do not only come into heat between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. in the day. You
Yes,
understand?
sir.
We have the day and early morning. All right, but there's no service to help with that when those type of things happen on farm. And
Ria,
even
let me
if you
try.
do get,
I just
go
wanted to
ahead.
try and Dano's connection now to see if we have her better. Dano, you're hearing me?
I'm hearing you loud and plain, Philip. Good night.
Good night. We're hearing you a lot better now. Rihanna, come back to you in a minute. I want Dano to introduce herself again. She's the president of the Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago, and I would like her to explain to those of us who are not farmers what the Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago is.
The Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago is established by an Act of Parliament, Chapter 6301, that carries a clear mandate to advocate and represent, support the development of the entire agriculture sector. This year, we are 187 years of age. Prior to we having a president in Trinidad and Tobago, we used to have the Governor General, who used to serve as president of the Agriculture Society. Where we have President's House now used to be the office of the Agriculture Society of Trinidad and Tobago. We are a committee of management of 26 that comes into office annually by an election process. We have the president, vice president, which is the executive arm, and we have 24 other directors, 8 representatives of the cocoa industry, 8 representatives of the sugar industry, and 8 representatives of other industries. Our staff comes from the Statutory Authority Service Commission. We do have 4 public officers on board. We also employ from time to time contracted employees, OJT staff, and so on.
Is this funded by the state?
Well, used to be. All you get is what is called your operation allowance. Operation allowance meaning you get your money to pay for your office rental, you get money to pay for your phone bills, your staff. It comes releases by line item. And that is
Okay,
managed by the public officers. It is managed by the public officers, not the management committee. Our mandate is very clear, separate, and apart from.
Dano, I want to ask you some questions now, right? It seems that the agriculture sector is not immune from the backbiting that takes place in any aspect of industry or discipline in this country. So I put out a release yesterday that we're having a conversation with you and Riyadh. Some people are your full supporters, and some people have the worst things to say about you, and it's polarizing. Now, I want to say this to you before you answer anything at all. I live in Trinidad and Tobago, and I know how the rats run. I know how easy it is for people to say things without there being substance. But I am asking you, is the Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago run above board? Are the elections transparent and run above board?
Everything that we do at the Agriculture Society of Trinidad and Tobago is above board. Every decision that we take comes before a statutory board meeting and is properly minuted. The public officers, the secretary on board is responsible for documenting all minutes and decision of the Agriculture Society of Trinidad and Tobago.
Has anybody ever challenged the legitimacy of your presidency? Like
Ongoingly,
legally?
that has happened.
I'm not talking about
Ongoingly,
court,
that has
about legally, like court, like before any service commissions, anything like that.
many times the election went to court. In fact, in 2015, the High Court Judge, Justice Frank C. Prasad, said that he was fed up in a 2014 court decision in December. He was fed up with people coming to the courts with allegation of fraud in the election process, and the San Fernando High Court themselves supervised and conducted the elections of 2015. The Minister of Agriculture then had full responsibility of organizing the election, and the ministry staff. We had absolutely nothing to do with the election, and my team won fair and square, supervised by the San Fernando High Courts.
Why is the Agricultural Society so polarized and there is so much infighting and backbiting? Why? What is the
Well,
benefit?
there
Just let me answer one question. What is the benefit? Well, a second question. What is the benefit of being president of the Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago that so many people are so hell bent on fighting for?
Well, Philip, when I joined the Agriculture Society in 2008 into 2009, right? The Agriculture Society then was controlled by a particular group of people, what we will call the bourgeois of society. And back then, when I observed the mandate of the society, I believe that it had the greatest of opportunities to do well for agriculture in Trinidad and Tobago. And back then, I opened up the society to really involve especially young people in the decision-making process. I moved that society from a membership of 25 people, and by 2013, that society had over 13,000 individual members, with presently 86 associations and commodity groups across the country. What I have sought to do is take the Agriculture Society internationally. We are a financial member of the Royal Agriculture Society. We are the only Caribbean country that carries voting rights at the RAS, the Royal Agriculture Society. We are signatory to the Royal Agriculture Society. Over the years, I have been very privileged to travel on behalf of the United Nations and many international organizations to really spread the information internationally as to the work that we're doing in ASTT here in Trinidad and the success that we would have come across. For example, in 2013, I would have delivered the keynote address at the United Nations in Geneva on using agriculture as a medium to eradicate poverty. So over the years, we have worked hard. We have built an extremely strong and unified platform. What you would have observed being a Trinidadian is that from time to time, we would have challenged many decisions of the government. In recent times, we saw the St. Augustine nurseries, where the government attempted to bulldoze in nurseries and put in houses. And we stood firm in that decision. We were able to mobilize the country and we were able to bring a halt to that process. So I believe that much of the fight for the position of president is not because it is something that has financial worth, but rather it is the exposure, the international power that the office now holds.
Dano, you said we have 13,000 members in the Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago. That means we have 13,000 farmers at the very least.
Well, you have, according to the last census that was conducted somewhere around 2009, that registration process indicated that we had some 40,000 farmers.
How many active farmers are
Or
there?
should I? Or should I say, Philip, we have 40,000 food producers, because I know
Okay,
we are going to go into a discussion with farmers' issues.
farm registry comes with being a registered farmer, gets you tax-free status to buy vehicles and stuff, yes?
Being not just a registered farmer, being a tenanted farmer, having and being in possession of a farmer's ID issued by the Ministry of Agriculture. And when
How do
you
you
have gained that status,
how do you
I
get
didn't
that
hear
farmer's
you.
how do you get that farmer's ID?
Well, first of all, you have to be tenanted. If it's state agriculture land, you have to be in possession of a land lease. If it's private land, you must be in possession of a land deed in your name. If you are renting lands, you must be in possession of the relevant legal documents that will show you have a legitimate right to occupy those lands. You now make an application to your county office, and there the officer, what we call the extension officer, will now make several visits to ensure that you are 75% in cultivation and above of that parcel of land. And then the relevant documentation will be forwarded to your regional office. If you are in the St. Andrews and St. David County along the East-West corridor, it is the region office is in Curep. And then they will now send the relevant documents to the chief technical officer in the Ministry of Agriculture. This process sometimes, by the way, take year or years. All right. And by that time, your application date and your renewal date will be very much within a few days or months if you're lucky.
Riyad, I want to bring you back into the conversation. You are an active farmer now, yeah?
Yes.
Some of the issues that Dano just raised that frustrate people getting into farming, and have you been through and overcome those? Are you a state land tenant, or do you have your own lands? Describe for me
Um,
what you go through to be a farmer.
okay. So, as a farmer for the last many years, I still don't own my own land, so I rent land. All right. Renting land is a negotiation between you and the owner of the land. Because I do not own land, I cannot get a farmer's badge because, like you just said, I don't own the land. All right. Some of the problems that I face pretty alarming. One of the major problems. Several times, we lose crops before the day of harvest. A few days before we can't market this stuff. With regards to the cost of input supplies is a lot. It comes up to so much. And if you don't do a proper business plan or a production plan and do your balances and checks, you really don't know how much money you're making. Another issue that I encountered too was the availability of storage for my past cantaloupe and honeydew crops because they are perishable items. And when they start to ripe, they ripe very fast. So I was not able to afford storage services, so I got a lot of losses with those. Additionally, marketing channels, I had to go and look for my own markets basically and tap into all the supermarkets and restaurants and fruit vendors, people who making chow, families who want to do deliveries. So it was a lot of work to get to that single point, to get some amount of returns and savings. Yeah.
So, besides the actual hard work to farm, being a
Yes.
farmer in this being a farmer in this country is a difficult enterprise because it is treated like the bastard stepchild of all industry. Government
Hmm.
goes out of its way to frustrate farmers, to facilitate the 1% finance they get at elections time so that the one percenters could import the billions of dollars worth of food. I want to ask you a question. Pradial larceny, access to clean water.
That is a hard one because predial larceny is only so much a predial larceny security unit could do, as well as TTPS could do. When someone stole your crop, it had to track them down and actually get evidence, you as a farmer, to prove that that was
Stop.
the person.
Stop right there. Stop. Let me
Tell me.
interrupt you again and tell Trinidad and Tobago that you believe that and you are a farmer shows how mismanaged this country is. You are a farmer, you should have a badge with a number saying that you grow this crop. Anybody that has an amount above 2 bottles of alcohol is supposed to have a license. We could do the exact same thing for crops. If you have a van load of orange, you better be in transport to a retailer or wholesaler, and you will have a license from the grower. If you buy it from a wholesaler, you will get a license from the wholesaler. If you buy it from a retailer, you will get a license from the retailer. If the police stop you and you don't have a license, that is a fast jail. And the man who missing 10,000 orange, it's easy to call Dano Suku at the Agricultural Society and tell her, send out on the WhatsApp group, we just lock up a man with 10,000 orange who missing orange, come to Belmont Police Station. You understand what I just said?
Yes. Yes,
That's
clearly,
what a
very
proper
clearly.
government, that's what a proper government would do. I have been told that the Pradier Larceny squad is the second largest precepted squad in Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, I was not aware. But
So if they're not protecting
re-
your crops, what are you doing? Continue.
well, I can't say offhand, you know. And even with
Dano,
livestock farmers, Philip,
yeah, go ahead.
livestock farmers, so much more, you know.
Yeah, because if you lose an
Yeah,
animal, you
Philip.
lose. Dano, tell me about the Pradier Larceny, squad. Have you all approached the government to do anything like put a kind of registry like what I just described so as to make it easy for law enforcement to catch? Because if the government wanted to protect farmers, if the government wanted farmers to have water, you would have more water than you need, and nobody would put God out their thoughts to touch any farmer's crops. If the government wanted that, the government does not want that. I tell you, the food import bill in this country is billions of dollars, and as long as you could be frustrated out of farming, the importer is going to make money. Tell me your experience as the head of as the president of the Agricultural Society about Pradier Larceny, the Pradier Larceny squad, and water.
Philip, since 2010, the Agriculture Society, we started a very aggressive drive to address the issue of Pradier larceny. The establishment of the Pradier larceny unit was a collaborative effort between the stakeholders and the Ministry of Agriculture. One of the things you will note that in the act, in terms of where you are caught, like you said, let's use the example of the 10,000 oranges. If you are caught with 10,000 oranges right now, that is valued $20,000, but the charge in the court is only $200. It is not regarded as a major crime. So the charges are
But
so minute.
But Dano, the point that I am making is it will take them half an hour in the parliament. Literally, this is how a law is amended. The Attorney General will stand up and say, where the figure now says $200, it will be amended to $20,000 and 6 months simple imprisonment. Where it says $500, it will be amended to $50,000 and 2 years simple imprisonment. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Boom, the law is changed, they gazette it, and everybody's aware. It is not rocket science to fix these things. I am laying all of this at the
Correct.
feet of the government. And to the people who watch my
Correct.
show, who think that I am Hema or Fazir or Stefan Rees, I am the political leader of a political party that wants to change this country. I don't just want to know what's wrong. I want us to discuss how to fix it. If you
All
say
right.
that the fine and the consequences are not onerous enough to dissuade people, why hasn't the government, any government, changed that law to make it more onerous so that nobody will interfere with your crops?
Not only that, Philip, you have a Pradier larceny unit that started off with about 150 officers, right? That unit, you have from inspector, sergeant, and the ranks come down, right? When you look at where those units are located, for example, the Eastern Division, they are located in Centeno, where you have absolutely no agriculture taking place. We have asked for these units to be placed what we call the hotspots, the heavy agriculture producing communities, like the Orange Grove Estate, the Maloney Estate, and as you come up, those are 2,000 acres, 750 acres. That's where your largest amount of production comes out. So we are saying, why don't you put in permanent stations and allow these officers to be in the field? You cannot have these officers in an air-conditioned office. By the time a farmer gets that report, report in and that officer comes out to the field is because the person is gone with your produce. And
Yep.
and apart from that, the other issue that you have is that you have this 150 officers. I don't know what the present staffing is, but that's what we started off with. And they don't have the tools to carry out the work. You are hearing the cry when you call for an officer to come and attend to an issue. We don't have a vehicle. We don't have a battery. The tire flat. And these are the kind of excuses. So as a taxpayer, you cannot get value for your money because the arm of the state that has the responsibility to carry out these duties is dysfunctional. That is
Thank you
what is
very much, Philip.
happening.
Thank you very
And
much,
let me
sir.
go
Riyad,
further.
do you agree? Just now, before you go further, Riyad, do you agree?
Yes, I agreed.
Continue, Dano.
Philip, since 2011, 2012, I was part of a mission and I visited, it was St. Lucia, and there we discussed the issue of predial larceny. What they have done, and I brought back the same model to the then minister we had here. Of course, he threw it in a garbage bin. What they have done, they have a special farmer registration number for the vehicles for their farmers. So even though you are not in possession of a farmer's ID, but because you're a food producer and you can certify and justify by your occupation of those lands, your registration number on your vehicle is FAR, let's say 001. So if you are going down the road with 2 goats and a sheep and a cattle, and you are not in one of these FAR vehicles, a farmer vehicle, the police stops you. Who are you? Where are you going with these animals? You don't have a bill of sale. You didn't purchase it. They immediately seize your vehicle and the produce and so on. I brought that model back to Trinidad. Obviously, it went in the garbage bin, right? Because that would have been a way forward in addressing and identifying who your farmers are and who your non-farmers are.
Ma'am, there was a UNC government in office twice, and they were supposed to have come out of the belly of farming. One of the prime ministers says she grew up bundling bodi and baji. How come none of the changes, and I am telling you and I am telling every single person watching the show tonight, the changes that the farmers require to protect the farmers. Daniel Jackson just posted on this thread that it took a pandemic to give farmers the respect they deserve. Farmers ain't getting no respect. People panicking and hoping that if food run out in Hilo, they could run by you and get 2 baigan and some tomato. But they still ain't respecting farmers. Nothing has changed. Nothing will change until you get a government in office that respects farming. And I'm telling you, in 24 hours, we could increase the fines from $200 to $20,000. In 24 hours, we could create a license system that if you are held with produce in excess of 5 pounds, you better be able to explain where you got it from or face quick jail. It is way beyond time to have these conversations. You shouldn't have hotspots. Man should be afraid to have more than 3 baigan in the house in case police come. We could do that. The government is supposed, does the government work? Let's talk water now, because this is a country that designed its water management system to capture the bounty of rainfall in the hills and wash it out to the sea without pausing. Do not pass go, do not collect 200. That's what we've done. How come we don't have retention ponds and dams in the areas where we do our most farming? How come?
Yeah. Philip, I can make a little comment on the irrigation for dry season. So while I was a farmer at Orange Grove, I used to plant the cantaloupes and honeydews there as well. So we had a pond dug on the land and you irrigate the crops. But most farmers can't is either can't afford to get a pond dug. Actually, according to the president, if they are not a tenanted farmer to access that service from the Ministry of Agriculture. Some people have the finance to maybe pay for that. Right? So that was one issue. The second issue is with regards to WASA. So we have to get this license when you have pumps and all of that. But when flooding occurs, we don't hear anything from anybody. You understand? Isn't that water as well?
We do not have a proper national water management system. Again, I want to tell you something. We flooded in the same locations for the 200 years that modern people have been in Trinidad and Tobago. 200 years. We know where the water collects. We know.
Correct. Yeah.
So it is very simple to build catchment, retention, bypass. You could build it. Listen, the Romans 2,000 years ago invented aqueducts to take water from the valley over the mountains. In Babylon 5,000 years ago, they were sending water uphill in underground pipes. We in Trinidad and Tobago in 2020, we can't figure out how to use the bounty of rainfall. We have 2 seasons, flood and drought, and we don't know how to manage it yet. And we still keep talking about those 2 political parties who have done this to the country, have spent billions, because I keep bringing it back to here. None of this is an accident. Let's talk land use policy. Singapore is half the size of the island of Trinidad. Singapore has a population in excess of 5 million people. Trinidad and Tobago has 1.4 million people. Recommended last land use for food self-sufficiency is a 1:5 ratio. We have more than a 1:15 ratio. Why it is we can't be food independent again? Somebody help me understand. Who collects the consumption data? What does Trinidadians eat, in what quantity and when? What could it be replaced with that we could grow? Riyadh mentioned to me tonight that there are better meats that we should be growing here. Well, I mean, I know pig will grow anywhere in the world. People talk to me about turkeys. They say turkey, you get better protein per pound from turkeys than chickens. You'll be able to tell us this. There's a cultural aspect and there is the factual, most economical sense aspect. The goal has to be food independence. I had Ved Siriram yesterday on the show. He said what the Progressive Empowerment Party has been saying from the start. If you are not controlling your own food, whoever controlling your food controlling you. Why is food self-sufficiency, food independence not the #1 goal of the farming society of Trinidad and Tobago and all farmers? Why aren't you all leading that conversation? Dano, you could take that one. Dano, you hearing me? She looks like she's having difficulty again. Riyadh, food
Yeah.
self-sufficiency, food independence.
All right. So some of the solutions I would like to suggest, Philip, we need to practice integrated farming systems, meaning we need to have some livestock, some crops, some aquaculture. Have that holistic approach. So you have a sustainable way to produce food at all levels and generate income at the same time. You understand? So integrated farming is one of the ways forward. Like I said before, neotropical animal production is the way forward for tropical countries and the tropical environment. Because just say if this pandemic goes on for some months or some years, just say in that instance where we can't import genetic resources for livestock, what are you going to breed and eat? Where's the protein coming from? The animal protein on the plate coming from? You understand? Because we have culturally been brainwashed to consume different foods over time. So we have become dependent on that type of food. Some of the other solutions I'd like to propose is further budgeting and management for our ruminant livestock. When you grow ruminants, they eat a lot of grass and forages, legumes. We need to have further budgets, meaning that we need to have food prepared for the ruminant animals to grow and develop. What I also want to suggest is that in Trinidad and Tobago, we don't make feed resources. We only mix them. We import the raw materials and mix them, then distribute. What we need to start doing is start utilizing non-conventional feed resources into our livestock production system to increase efficiency and reduce wastage. What I also want to suggest is that we look into more value added packaging and processing as well as storage for crop and livestock product. Um, we need to also entertain the thought of climate smart agriculture because we're a tropical country enduring severe floods and severe heat stress at times. So we need to let the science not just stay on the bookshelves of the universities, but be commercialized and in the hands of each stakeholder. All right. And I also would like to just comment and say that even if you can't afford commercial production operations, you should entertain the thought of doing home gardens at least and start a basic bartering system, especially in these troubling times.
Yeah, Philip.
Not, go ahead, Dano, go ahead.
All right. So, with regards to your land use policy and so on, in Trinidad and Tobago, we have clearly identified it is there well documented where our agricultural lands are. It is well documented. There exists soil map, all that is required for us to be at least 75 to 80% self-sufficient in this country. You have a
You have,
Ministry of Agriculture.
do you have consumption data?
I'm coming to that, sir. You have a
Okay, good.
Ministry of Agriculture that have different arms like NAMDEFCO that is entrusted with a responsibility for market opportunities and so on. That's an entity that spends over $50 million annually. That's supposed to have collection of consumption data that could advise as to how you could increase production and so on. The Ministry of Agriculture has its own bank. It has its own engineering unit. It has its own research unit. It has every arm and aspect. They are in charge of all of the land management division. Approximately 3,500 people, could be more, is employed within the Ministry of Agriculture. They even have a planning division, fully staffed. The question is, why now do we still have a $6 billion food import bill? Again, it is not politically correct to allow the Ministry of Agriculture to be fully functional. That is the reality of the situation.
Dano, I want to read a list of names for you, right?
Go
Alison
ahead.
West, Wendell Buckley, Robert Bermudez, Karen Darbesi, Winston Dukaran, Christian Mute, Colin Supengchow, Sean Roach, Ronnie Mohammed, Vincent Pereira, Vishnu Danpal, Alison Lewis, Gregory Maguire, Carl Theodore, Selwyn Hazel, Christopher Henry, Michael Anisette, Alan Warner, Rondell Fields. You recognize any farmers on that list?
I recognize no one on that list with any knowledge of agriculture.
Besides the owner of Nutrimix, a friend of the Prime Minister, Ronnie Mohammed. You recognize anybody that have anything to do with anything that sound like agriculture or food production
Nobody,
on that
absolutely
list?
nobody.
That is the
Absolutely
committee that is
nobody.
put together to chart the way forward for Trinidad and Tobago. People think that farmers get in respect because they're panicking that food could run out in Massey. But this is the committee charged with an end of month rough draft and an end of May to have roadmap that have one set of food importers and food assemblers, but not one person involved in the actual growing of food on that list. And you telling me anybody in the government of the day have any interest in farming? I have heard nothing from the opposition on this issue. And I have waited for this interview to raise that. How
Not
could
only
people
that,
be thinking? Go ahead.
yeah, not only that, Philip, when you look at these, what we call the stimulus or relief packages that government announced some 4 or 5 weeks ago, right? Recently, I heard the Minister of Social Development indicate that some 75,000 food cards were given out. And this is very important, what I am going to say. 75,000 food cards multiplied by approximately 500 per card, multiplied by 3 months. How many millions is that? None of those food cards can be tendered at a vegetable stall, a market stall, anywhere where those farmers sell their agriculture produce. Those cards are tendered at supermarkets, right? And my understanding, not even your village mini mart or supermarket, you can go there. Only those, what we will call the high-end supermarkets. The point I am making is this: absolutely $0 from that HSF fund that is being used to so-called stimulate or bring relief to the people of this country is actually being spent within your country to stimulate your agriculture sector. If it's one engine the government should keep intact and make sure it continues to turn, is your food production engine. That is what, instead, what we hear, $100 million being made available in Forex to import food. That's what we heard.
Riyadh,
Hi, yes, Philip.
what support have
Can,
you gotten from the government since the start of the COVID-19 awareness?
Philip, the only thing the private sector, the farmers and I have done contribute positively to food drives when the produce can't be sold at the right price, even at a lower price. We just donate it to the hungry, the poor, the disabled, or differently abled. That is as far as we reach with regards to COVID-19 and food production.
What has the state given you to help you since this COVID-19 awareness has started?
Oh, I don't think the state has given me anything because I have not received anything.
Is there any farmers grants?
Not now. There was an advertisement of them last year.
URP and CPEP cost the nation state of Trinidad and Tobago $1 billion a year plus. URP and CPEP, idle labor used to cut grass on the side of the road, $1 billion. We shut Caroni Limited down for losing $500 million a year. Pandey, Rahal, Rowley, Manning shut Caroni Limited down because they say it was not sustainable to lose $500 million a year, but at least we were saving money, we were saving carbon credits, we were putting people to work. CPEP and URP puts people to work, but it is not a sustainable livelihood. It doesn't develop you as a person. Has any conversation ever happened between the agricultural society and the government with regards to retooling and retraining CPEP and URP to assist in food production for Trinidad and Tobago?
In 2009, Philip, I wrote a model called FarmPep, where I indicated that we can now use that available labor in a more productive way in what we call the productive sector. What I propose is that the farmer match the government dollar for dollar. So if presently a CPEP worker gets, I think, $67, I stand to be corrected, the farmer matches that dollar for dollar. And we utilize that labor. What is important, I even model the program where the labor must come from within a 3-mile radius of the farm. I molded the program in such a way that these persons will be working according to farmers' hours. So there will be no specific 6 to 2 or so hours because farmers' hours are very flexible. I presented it to the then minister, at the time was Mr. Pigott, and the then permanent secretary Yearwood. The ministers that came after, I keep submitting. About 2 months ago, I wrote the present head of the URP program, Mr. Parishram. I sought a meeting with him to discuss utilizing the URP labor and even the CPEP labor into agriculture. Let's get the sector going. We right now, the agriculture sector is the highest employer, Philip, of the migrant labor. Right, because there is a serious labor shortage in the sector. In the last 6 months, 8 months, we have seen a lot of production increasing because we have now that migrant labor available. We still have in the sector. The potential for the agriculture sector's future development is endless. It's an export-oriented sector. We have commanded major markets in North America, in Europe, all over for our fresh agriculture produce. I am not telling you what was told to me. I am an exporter myself. Even within the Caribbean, we were a major supplier into the Barbados and other markets. So the potential is there, connecting the dots. The sector agriculture is one of those sectors where there's a role for government with regards to policy, creating that enabling environment. And there is a role for the private sector, which is the farmers. But if the government keeps strangling the sector, leaving the sector as an abandoned child, not putting that policy framework to guide the sector to be progressive, then we will continue to be stuck where we are. Since then to now, we will had absolutely no intervention, government then, government present, of really treating with labor for agriculture.
Trinitario cocoa is the best in the world. Everybody know that now, and there's talk that plenty. We have no cocoa industry. The cocoa and coffee board keeps collapsing. They can't hold it up. I don't know if they need 4 bamboo poles and some stick. Toko honey is rated as some of the best honey in the world. I understand Sangre Grande honey is not that far behind.
We are number 1.
Our Maruga scorpion pepper is the second hottest pepper for Scoville units in the world, and is a major use of it is pepper spray. So let's talk about downstream use of agriculture, because We have a prime minister who only understands oil. He doesn't understand anything else. That the first step is growing the actual crop. Let's talk hemp. Let's talk cannabis. California has the 13th largest economy in the world based primarily on the production, cultivation, and exportation of marijuana, cannabis, ganja, whatever you want to call it. The hemp industry is growing exponentially. Caroni land, Petrotrin land, former Clico, CL Financial land, Hindu Credit Union land, all of those lands belong to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. What is pushing razor grass right now is being pilfered off for housing projects and to build strip malls from Chaguanas to Port of Spain. So I want to ask a question tonight, Dano. And I'm asking you and I'm asking Riyadh. It is time the
Yes.
farmers got political, and it is time the farmers put their voice behind a political party that one of our chief pillars is food
I lost you
independence.
again, Philip.
You hear me now? You hear me now, Dano? It's time the farmers got political. Farmers need to be able to. The Progressive Empowerment Party. Are you hearing me, Dano?
I'm now hearing you, Philip. Go ahead.
This is our policy to identify all that land that is farm ready, fertile food producing land, and to, based on consumption data and the availability of existing farmers, make land available to farmers to use rent free. It will not become your land. We're not going to transfer it to you. It'll be the state's land and it will be yours to use forever as long as you are producing food for the state forever. And that the state would provide central markets in every constituency, 41 central markets, and the state would work with you to identify, based on consumption and export data, crops that should be grown and the quantities that should be grown, so that the 80% target, if we hit it, doesn't cause a glut and drive the price through the ground. We need to make sure that we're setting up cooperatives in communities where we could produce, where we could set up the facilities to make pepper mash and molasses and whatever is required from whatever you're growing. And you have to instruct me, Riyadh, what the livestock farmers need downstream from actually rearing the animals. Because I read a study on turkey production. If we started turkey farms in this country, the value for money we get in on the bone, it is amazing.
Correct.
Is it,
Yeah.
can the farmers get political now? Can the farmers stand with us and demand these things?
So, Philip, let me just give you one small example before I get into the turkey production about the integrated farming system and the benefits. So, just say you have goat, sheep, and cattle, all are ruminants. All right. We have sugarcane as well to feed the forage. So when you squeeze that sugarcane, you get juice for humans, you get juice for monogastric animals, you get the bagasse for the ruminant animals to feed, and you also have the biomass for composting to put into your crop fields. All right, so that is a good example of integrated farming. With regards to turkey production, the reason why turkey production has not picked up locally is, well, we only have a cultural palate taste for that in only December, or maybe for the Thanksgiving events. You understand? It's not a year-round type
Grow it,
consumption where like the
grow it,
broccoli
process
chicken.
it, forget Trinidad. Grow it, process it, and export it. There are over 1 billion Muslims in the world that cannot eat pork, that eating turkey bacon and turkey sausage and turkey hot dog. It is a massive, massive market. The Jews can't eat pork. They eat turkey bacon, turkey sausage, turkey hamburger. You can make turkey hamburger for Hindus. The market for turkey meat is massive. You don't have to sell it in Trinidad.
Yes, and we do have a social taboo attached to it either. So that is something we could look into in the future in terms of livestock production. And and I must give you a bit of history that the turkey was also a neotropical animal. So guess what? It's adaptable to our tropical climates, environment, pest and disease. Yeah,
Correct.
Philip? Yeah.
So I want to come back to my point. Dano, I need to make this point again. So are you hearing me clearly now?
Very much so.
Dano, I need your 40,000 farmers to stand with us now. I'm telling you that if 58 years of government come and government go and only lip service and let down for farmers, you need to actually support a political movement. And I'm telling you this, and you have to answer me on the show. But you need to talk to your people because we have farmers in the Progressive Empowerment Party. We have people who want to come on this show and scared to death about victimization. I am so proud about you. And I told people today who want to give me all kind of talk about people, I said, listen, come on the show and talk. Come and stand up because we live in a rat hole. And it is only the people who stand up and talk are the people who are going to make the difference tomorrow. It is easy, it is far too easy to bad talk people. I don't know either of you prior to today, but I want to tell both of you I like everything I hear right now. And I would like us to organize a proper movement within the farming communities to mobilize the farmers because even if it doesn't help put the Progressive Empowerment Party in office, I want to be done whichever government is in office respects the farmers and gives the farmers what they need to make this country food self-sufficient and food independent. That has to be a goal.
Philip, on the way forward, I'll tell you this. Any political party, and if the PEP is that party that intends to carry the agriculture agenda forward, wherever that agenda is and given priority, I am there. And I am
Indeed.
telling you that the people that I speak on behalf is with me all the way. And I want to
Indeed.
say something here tonight. We all talk about agriculture and we talk about farmers. We believe that Trinidad and Tobago agriculture is something for school dropouts and so on. It's very scientific. And we have some of the most learned, some of the most professional, world acclaimed farmers here in Trinidad and Tobago. But it has
Correct.
not been a correct political decision of governments of the past to empower our farmers, to uplift our farmers, because the sector continues to remain independent. When you look at a budget, when a budget is being read in Parliament, the money is allocated, very little is for development programs. Most of the money that comes out of a budget is to pay public servants to shuffle papers. That's all they do at the Ministry of Agriculture. You have a government go, government come, contributing in Trinidad and Tobago to a lot of organizations like ICA, CARDI, and other international bodies. What are you getting back as a country from these contributions? You are not getting a proper research paper. Now you have, I will say, a food crisis in the region, and nobody could present a food security program in going forward. We are the Agriculture Society. We have a food security program for Trinidad and Tobago. And in the next few days, we will talk about it in the media. You have a planning division in the Ministry of Agriculture. You have a Minister of Agriculture who publicly told Trinidad and Tobago, I don't have a plan, when he was questioned about a food security plan for this COVID-19 situation. I have been sitting on the COTE, the CARICOM Ministers of Agriculture meeting. And when you hear the plans and programs coming out of those smaller island states, it makes you wonder, why do we even have a Ministry of Agriculture in Trinidad and Tobago? Why it is our taxpayers, our citizens cannot reap the benefits, right? When people go to the market, they complain about the farmers, right? The farmers are price gouging. They complain about the high food prices. They are not concerned at what goes into producing this food. And these are
Dano,
very fundamental and very basic issues that as government you need to consider. If you want to make food available to the people of your country, there is a role for the state and the government has to step up to the plate.
Dano, I am reading the budget highlights 2019 for Trinidad and Tobago. And the key, I want to tell you this, the key macroeconomic indicators, farming, food production, nowhere there. In the list of revenue generators and what we're going to spend on, bulbs. Bulbs make the list. Farming may make the list.
Uh-huh.
Farm, farming may make 51.7 billion budget. What was it for any food production sector? What? this country continues to fool itself. We expect that somehow and there is this saying called the law of the farm. Eh? They have the law of the class where you could cram your work tonight and pass an exam tomorrow. But that don't work on the farm. On the farm, you gotta get up early in the morning. You gotta make sure what needs to be fed, what needs to be watered is fed and it is watered. Because you do it wrong and you lose everything on the farm. The law of the
Correct.
Yep.
farm is
Yep.
consistent work and you reap a reward at the end. The pyramid of rewards in this country, in this world, but in this country is upside down because all of us, every single person in this country tonight, we are awake and aware because of the efforts of a farmer. And I want to tell you all that the work that you all do are critical to the development of this country going forward. I wanted to ask you about these things. I don't know if you ever even got around to these things. Vertical farming, that is massive growth in Europe right now. High technology farming. We flared our natural gas for 50 years. We could make natural gas available to our farmers. We could create water processing facilities downstream of the livestock farms. We could put everything in place as a state to make it possible so that our farmers could get the job done. And at the end of the job, we could say the state is responsible for 40% of the crop because it's our land and we will export or process that. The rest we will make markets available and cooperatives available and other avenues available. It is time that the budget in Trinidad and Tobago paid respect to food grown and produced in Trinidad and Tobago. People who spoke, I have a friend, she is a kale farmer, sells a pack kale for $3. The exact same kale in Smart, the same quantity for 45 dollars. That is not a little bit of difference. That is 50 times the price. You imagine if your grocery bill 15 times the price. If your grocery bill was $1,500 and you filled it with local food at local prices, that same grocery cart is $100. It's time we put the farmers where they need to be. I want to give the both one by one time for your last and closing comments, but you could take as much time as you want. And Riyadh, I'm going to start with you. Give me your closing comments. Talk to me about livestock farming, talk mixed farming. Talk to me about what you want from a government to make your life easier so you can expand and help feed this nation.
Philip, before I leave to have dinner with my wife, I must say that I want one thing in particular addressed. There's a major disconnect between the educating bodies, the private sector, and the public sector. Now, everybody has their role and part to play, no doubt. But communication between these bodies, we must have that for efficiency and for sustainability in the agriculture system. For instance, when I finish my PhD, or anybody else finish their PhD, MSc, MPhil, don't put the thesis on the library shelf. Take it, bring it to the farmers, bring it to the farming industry, the food industry, commercialize your papers, your scientific publications, and get that work out there. Make sure people can eat from what you learned. So that is one of the messages I want to just leave with you all before I head off.
Yeah, and well,
All
enjoy
right.
dinner with the wife. Tell her I want to thank her for sparing you. And
Yeah.
Satish going to be back in touch with you, both of you, because we're going to be doing many of these shows. We're not going to stop. We're going to choke them with information so that when the public and even the media that has been so recalcitrant in their responsibility will have no choice as to ask the Prime Minister, if tomato and pawpaws grow here so wild, how come we importing it? Thanks a lot for joining us, Riyadh.
Thanks so much, Philip. Take care.
Dano, give us your closing
Yeah,
comments. Take as much time as you need.
yeah, Philip, we would have spoken a lot tonight about food production, availability of food for householders. A critical area that we have not discussed is the issue of what we call input supplies for agriculture. We have just heard, and it is touted in the media, government going to distribute some 50,000 seedlings to householders. Those plants, you don't just wave a magic wand and say abracadabra and they produce. You must have a mechanism, a structure. You must have the support services to produce fruit from that tomato plant or that pawpaw seeds that you're going to distribute. The present government, the present status quo of the Ministry of Agriculture does not have that support mechanism. We are hearing every day the woes. People cannot get water from Wassa to do their cooking and their household chores. A plant after 7 days demands 2 liters of water to grow for that remaining 90 days. Where are we going to get all of this to support these present initiatives of the government? What happened to Shagrama Seed Center? We continue to remain as an assembly plant in the agriculture sector here in Trinidad and Tobago. We import eggs, we import corn, we import seeds. Most of what we grow here, our vegetables, our seeds are imported. We had one of the best seed centers at Chagramas. Again, through bad government's decision, that was shut down. So in moving forward, sir, what I want to see the government do is not just talk. We have to turn this talk into real action. Trinidad don't need no more plans. The Ministry of Agriculture has probably 100 by 100 room filled with plans. There are many magnificent plans. We need to turn these things into action. We need to ensure the Ministry of Agriculture that when funds are being spent, it creates that direct impact where the consumers benefit, where we can have safe and healthier foods produced at reasonable prices for people. It is not too late. Trinidad and Tobago's agriculture sector possess the capacity to deliver food not only to Trinidad and Tobago, but the rest of the region. The figures are there. I am one of those exporters over the years, would have exported 40, 50, 60, 80,000 pounds of fresh agriculture produce weekly to Barbados for many years. So I am not saying what we think should happen. I am saying with the right mechanism, with the right leadership at the Ministry of Agriculture, all of this can happen. We are seeing through the present initiatives of the government, we are yet to see any robust decision with regards to this oil and gas, the fallout with this oil and gas. We are yet to hear from the government what they are doing to provide food for the people of this country to ensure there is sustainable production in the next coming months until this situation really gets it back to normalcy. We already heard from our suppliers in Europe for fertilizers and so on that they can't give us a tentative date when they will start shipping. We are hearing from our seed suppliers in the US and other countries where there is no tentative date to resume shipments to Trinidad and Tobago. What are we going to do now? The question to the government: meet with the private sector, meet with the farmers, meet with the stakeholders. You said, Prime Minister, all of us in this together. Your 22-member committee does not say all of us in this together. We must stop from being a food importer, and it's time we realize our true position as a food exporter. We have the capacity to produce safe and healthy food for the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Let's work a timeline. Let's work a timeline. Let's say food self-sufficient 5 years. Realistic? They have some crops that 6 weeks we eat in. So food self-sufficient in 5 years is a realistic. I mean, we're not going to be gorging, we're not going to be obese, but we could survive. We could be a net food exporter in 10 years.
Philip, we could be a net food exporter of particular commodities in 6 months.
I want to know that ma'am, all I'm talking about now, step one, food self-sufficiency. And I want to put all of our resources and all of our assets to work to make sure. I'm asking you, do you know if any document about the last 10 years of consumption data in Trinidad and Tobago exists?
No. There is no data by none of the agencies for consumption or production. The information that we had at the Agriculture Society would have given you some level of production data, which of course a previous minister destroyed. But at present, There is no entity that you can take your phone or send an email and say, listen, I want to have the production data or the consumption data on these commodities. Absolutely none.
But you know what they don't know, and what I know and I want them to know, is that I could build a consumption data document on the imports. I could build it on that, Whatever we imported in the last 10 years, I could get an estimate, But we need a consumption data to guide how we plan what we grow. We need to know what is our choice of carb, what is our choice of protein, what is our... So these things have to be planned, and we need people to sit around a table who are knowledgeable in the industry, who understand agriculture and food production at that level. Dano, I want to tell you, thank you very, very much for joining us. I look forward to having you on the show again. And whatever, I want to say this again to Trinidad and Tobago. You represent a wealth of knowledge. I am looking and I am inviting all of those who think that they could also contribute at this level. Come and join the panel. Thanks very much for joining us. If there's anything else you'd like to add, feel free to do it now.
Yeah, well, Philip, I want to get really and truly show appreciation to the People's Empowerment Party. We share your vision. I have read your manifesto. I have been following your postings and so on. And I am of the strong opinion that your policy for agriculture is really the direction that we need to go in Trinidad and Tobago. Any right-thinking citizen looking clearly into that document will see where the interest of the people of Trinidad and Tobago is fully represented. Any country that does not play that kind of pivotal role on its food security does not stress the importance of feeding its people, that entity really and truly does not have the interest of this country. So I really want to congratulate you and your team on the excellent work that you have been doing. And I also want to congratulate you on the excellent interview with Mr. Ved Siram. He shared quite a lot of knowledge. He opened up our thoughts, our thinking as to what really has been happening behind the scenes in terms of the governance level. The present circumstances that we are faced with, all I can say is God help us. And God willing, and the PEP gains office, well, I know you're going to take us forward.
Thanks very much. It was lovely having this conversation. Look forward to continuing this. People already clamoring for a part 2. So we're going to talk, and Satish going to be in touch with you. Thanks a lot for that. Thanks to the whole team at PEP Media, Satish and his crew, for getting this interview set up tonight with Riyadh and Dano. I mean, look, it's real easy to sit home in your tighty whitey drawers on your bed and bad talk one another. I'm fed up of that, I'm tired of that. Don't give me just the old talk about who you don't like and who you like. Give me real information, give me facts. Most importantly, if you are telling me this one don't talk to this one and that one don't talk to that one, you step up and do what they're doing. I want to say, everybody, the truth of the matter is, I always find that the people that are most willing to speak out on the issues are the ones that are most attacked. This series of plain talk is going to wake Trinidad and Tobago up to the amount of knowledge that is available. All of the misinformation, all of the dumbing down that this PNM and the UNC as well, because we have nothing to show for the last 30 years, 25. Look at it. Nothing works. Our public health sector collapsed in the face of a cruise of 68 people. We had to put them in a roach motel. We had to put them in a hotel in Balandra or Toko. We had to drive them through the whole country and I know your country tour. We had nothing in place. Nothing. We've done no modeling. Our education system should have been transitioning to the cloud. The cloud is 10 years old. We should have digitized the books. If the education system wasn't such a corrupt organization that is, do you know the amount of money that we spend printing school books every year? And they renew editions every 2 years and they change 2 words? Our school books should have stopped being printing a long time ago and should have all been digital. Stop giving the children scoliosis with a 50-pound book bag on their back. But we can't, because we are a corrupt society and everything is corruption. We can't fix water because water is corruption. We can't fix food production because the food importers want to enjoy $6 billion importing food. It can't continue. You watching this show tonight, you have to know you could hate me. You could hate me. You know what intelligence, you know what emotional intelligence is? Hearing the words coming out of my voice and watching how long that we've been working on this and knowing that you could vote for a man that you hate and guarantee that he will make life better for you and your loved ones. This has been Plain Talk. Thank all of you who joined us tonight. Tomorrow we have a special show we're trying to put together on issues of national security. Every episode of Plain Talk is going to be better than the last one. And it's going to be like school. Every time you watch it, you're going to come away with more information. Until tomorrow, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.